regardless, and trying to put up with Winx Draven. There's so much to look at, and we got to get into the game pretty quickly. Obviously, Xun, Xiaohao, big focuses in the early game for both of these teams. Xun on that Hecarim will have so many tools to kick off the fight, and the lockdown for IG will be crucial. But as you said, the skirmishing for anyone's legend, trying to find the window for that, and especially as you crest into the mid game, is so crucial. But here we go. It is time for our second series of the day. Anyone's Legend taking on Invictus Gaming. Game number 1 starting now.
Mole's debut game of LPL 2022. Super important for both teams, right? Both of them trying to inch towards a playoff spot. Neither of them are out. The run is still alive for both teams. And then kind of hitting back to what you're talking about, right? The drafts and seeing how these teams played out. I think one fun thing, Mazel, more maybe comparatively to last series, is you have two compositions that very much want to go in. Very aggressive on both sides, right? For IG, I think it's pretty straightforward in terms of setting up those sides. Again, Hextech Ultimatum onto the Zeri or onto Forge if you can find it. Xun linking up at the same time. And then Wink kind of faring for himself, trying to peel out either Chocho or ZDZ in that top lane. For AL, I think it could be a little bit trickier, but you also do have like room to zone to flank with the Ahri. But I feel like mostly we're going to be looking at how Chocho enables the team.
Yeah.
Maybe try to bring Lucas into the other members, or Xun. If Xun finds win on the backline, ult him out by space. Again, Betty and then Forge able to lock and load on that front line.
That's exactly what I was going to say, and I love that you highlight it, right? It's about getting these supports out of these lanes and into the top side of the map. But we'll see the early aggression from Chocho and Lucas go to bear as both of them take down about half health. But it's those first roam timers. It's how much aggression out of the lane we can get, because we know Wink and Betty will be just fine.
I also think it's just about, bringing Xiaohao down to this bottom side. Because one of the things about Set, right, is you're very liberal with your flash usage because you take Hex Flash. You're willing to flash in there level 1, burn enemy AD carry for your own, and overall it's going to be a worthwhile trade for you because then you're going to be the team playing more with your jungler in those 3v3s. So right now, both junglers are pathing down towards the bottom side, so I think IG having a read of what AL want to do. Also, cool to note that Zika is running the more aggressive summoner setup, right, taking both TP and Ignite, so can control his wave state, or if he falls behind, he's chunked out, can always TP back, but also having the Ignite for those all-ins.
And I'm just excited to get to see the Camille kid. Gets banned a lot of the time against teams who do prioritize her, but excited we get that very seemingly volatile matchup between the Renekton and the Camille on the top side of the matchup. Even though we've kind of been focusing on the jungle early on, it still gives a little bit of presence there, and especially later on in the side laning as well. Xiaohao now going in for his own aggression, immediately finds Xun, and Xun is in some trouble here. The skirmishing power of the Viego early is very detrimental to the health bar of Hecarim, and Xun will back away, start the Krug camp here. Has the rest of AL move again with the priority gained bot lane to try and take more, as now Xun is just dead. How does this all turn out this way? You would think that IG would be able to get back and help, but they cannot.
No, the crucial thing was with Xiaohao obviously being the aggressor, right? You can coordinate that, you can communicate. So both Chocho and Betty very quickly moved over to Tribrush to cut Wink and Lucas off from being able to answer. With the fact that Forge has prio in mid, he is also able to follow Molt at the same time, which left Xun in a pretty bad spot. Obviously, Xun in the end still did end up like over-aggressing for Krugs, because Betty and Chocho are on their way because obviously the left lane, but still, I think overall that was just really good coordination coming out from anyone's Legend.
It was, and leans out to first blood for them. Now Xun, on the aggression of his own, wants to recoup some of that lost timing, and we'll go for an invade on the top side of the map against Xiaohao, who is still on the bottom side. So this should be an easy Krug camp capitalized on by Xun.
Yeah, and we're seeing lanes so far pretty even across the board. Not too surprising. I think most interesting being this mid lane matchup. Ahri, I think, has some decent tools to be able to deal with LeBlanc. Obviously, being able to hold your charm for when a distortion comes through, you've like a very easy time. I think an easier time clearing the wave in terms of just being able to throw out your Q to where, we did see LeBlanc get a bit of a nerf to her W damage later on, which can make it more annoying to contest the wave once you do get a little bit higher in levels.
Something that's been bugging me this whole time, not bugging me, but exciting me, we don't have a Felios or Jinx here. It's a miracle, Lyric. It's a miracle.
It is. It is great. I tweeted out the other day. I don't know what the stats are now.
That's a lot of damage. He does still have the Haymaker, though, back. Chocho now losing that shield, though. Be very careful, because the damage from Draven is obviously so strong early on.
Yeah, able to get a decent amount of summoners out from the opposing side there. But, again, hitting on the 80 carry point. We have Jinx, 178 games, Aphelios, 147, then Zeri and Jin. Oh, Charm!
Oh, my goodness, Mole. The Ignite, the burns. Nope, it's on the wrong one. So, you know, Forge, unfortunate for that one.
I agree. Anyone's Legend IG. Screw talking about those carries.
Absolutely.
Keep giving us the fight. Forge thought he could replicate what we saw in the last series, but not able to find that.
Is that the Mole diff, though? You force the Ignite onto the Mimic? Or onto the Claude? Is that just the Mole difference for IG?
It was obvious, like, it was all planned and calculated coming out from Mole. But this is going to lead to first Dragon coming out for the side of AL. You even see the reset for Chocho being a little bit faster than Lucas.
Zika not level 6 yet. ZDZ had hit that level 6 mark, not popping the dominance to assert his dominance, but still having a little bit of the level advantage in top side and the CS advantage.
Still, Zika will be catching a pretty decent-sized wave, so he will be just fine in terms of CS, but Mole crucially needing a reset.
Oh, wait, they find Chocho, and now the devastating charge in. That was a nice face breaker, though. The Haymaker onto Wink as well. Chocho's just left out to dry, though, and Wink gets the kill. Those adoration stacks working out nicely. Now the Forge on the other side with a Spear Rush gets the charm. The cleanse from Wink is dead. Betty finds it, and on the back end of it, AL come out on top again.
Yeah, overall, I mean, I think a lot of that's off of the pressure that Forge generated from going for that solo kill. I mean, he chunked Mole out. Mole was low. Mole had no mana. No one helped push out the wave or anything like that because they were looking for that kill on bot side. So they take advantage of the trade that Forge went out to find a window where he can move, and they punish with the kill. So AL, so far, coming out a little bit ahead. We're coming up to the 8-minute mark, so it should be that time where we get that skirmish for Herald. For AL, you've had Prio in both your side lanes so far, so I think AL should be the team that we're expecting to look up at that objective.
Look at this aggression, though. Shun and Mole moving in towards this top side. As Xiaohao trying to clear out his chicky nuggies. Red will be seen by IG. Maybe setting up a little bit of trap here, though. I don't know. Actually, yeah, I was going to say the ward did scout them out on their way up here. But Xiaohao not feeling the confidence just yet. Now Forge being pulled back. A little bit of back and forth in this situation, but it's not going to be spotted out just yet. Now Chocho on the bottom side trying to go for it. Has a lot of damage as well as the surge from Betty, but they can't find the kill just yet. ZDZ and some trouble. What is going on? We have action all over the place. ZDZ is just dead to Zika, and now IG somehow found a kill on the top side. We didn't think anything was going to happen.
Yeah,
oh my God. Lucas just sacrificed his life. Can Week turn it around? No, he can't. He cannot, and Lucas dies for his sins.
Yeah, I mean, Lucas hitting the level 6 mark, thinking maybe he could turn it around. The fact that he's so low, maybe get him in turret range, pop the ultimate, and find a pick, but no. So, for all the work done by IG's top side, thrown away by Wink and Lucas in this bottom lane, which, I mean, in terms of laning, right, I think IG's bot lane, that's one issue that has stemmed true from last year going into this year. I think we saw some interesting play come out from On when they were running him, but obviously electing it back into Wink, who a lot of, like, reports from Chinese side and, like, players who played with him say he's a really vocal voice, so that could be a reason why IG opted into bringing him back on the roster, but getting punished for that one.
He was, and we still look at that early aggression in this game and have seen a decent amount, a lot more than last series at least, but it hasn't led out to anything too crucial just yet. We have one dragon on side of AL. We're working on this first Rift Herald now for IG. Xiaohao dodges away from the first chain, well, not the second one. Has to use the Heartbreaker away. Does get over the wall, and now IG move in for the Rift Herald #1.
Yeah, it looked like AL were going to come to contest because they originally brought Betty up through mid lane, but instead sending him to respond down to Wink so Wink doesn't get free time with plates, deny him CS and him experience. So it is just going to open up the Rift Herald for the side of IG. Wink also might be able to get a plate of his own. Pretty nice for him. So far, going towards that stronger lethality start early on, serrated Dirk, double longsword. So he will hit like a truck.
Yeah.
The problem is we've seen, right, Chocho and Betty coming on the end of some advantageous trades, especially as Forge has been able to keep up Cryo here in mid.
And obviously, the ADC game is late game, right? We're waiting for both these guys to, especially Betty on the side of AL, to get to those big scaling items and have that insane mobility having late game as Zeri, as well as it finally gets let through in the LPL, as I feel like it's spanned out almost every single series. We'll keep a side eye on that one specifically, but now I'm turning my attention back to Xiaohao, back to Shun, as we are getting the second Dragon on the Rift in 30 seconds. Both junglers down this way, a lot of presence from both teams as well.
Yeah, both teams going to be heading down towards this bottom side, but I expect both teams to look differently. Is Shun going to head towards mid? Forge's ultimate and flash.
Oh, that should go. Oh, Onslaught of Shadows used, but Forge too quick with the speared rushes.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I was just about to say that I expect IG to maybe look towards bot and for AL to be the team to look towards mid, but IG looking to circumvent that one by burning a summoner out from Forge and taking away his ultimate. The fact that Dragon's coming up right now, that could be so crucial for them. Now timing it with Mole's reset as well. Zika's TP's about to be up. So for IG, you could look to contest this one. Though we need to remember, still 11 minutes. Those teleports are not unleashed yet.
Yeah, I will say I would expect Shun to want to use this Rift Herald before potentially going for a fight over the Dragon. Both teams are just pinging like crazy down towards this objective. But the push in bottom lane will mean IG have that priority and can move their bodies to the position in front of the Dragon Pit thus far. But again, if you die in this situation, it's a bit rough for IG because we're right on the precipice of either team really finding an advantage for themselves. And instead of going for those overextended plays, the aggression, both teams playing a little bit more reserved as we crested into that 11-minute mark.
I also think they'd be a little bit more reserved in that moment specifically for the fact that since Forge got chunked out, he recalled first, had Tempo coming back on the map. Both junglers so far just posturing around bot. Looks like Shun might go for mid play again, hoping to drop the Herald, maybe if they're able to find a play, but I think AL doing a nice job of just hiding in Fog of War kind of prevents Shun from making any aggressive plays. And heck, they might find Lucas and Wink off this.
Overextended a little bit by moving up for that wave. Nicely calculated, though, from IG. Move them out of there. IG now looking in the mid lane yet again. Forge, about half his health bar taken out. Forge just dies to Shun's devastating charge plus damage. Now they'll surely look down towards this bottom side as the rest of AL are scrambling to try to get out from in front of this pit.
Yeah, gonna opt into going mid first. You assume they want to drop the Herald, clear this wave out, and then start making their way down. But no, in the end, they're not gonna look to do it.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
they will,
Mazel. They gotta have
it
to at this point. They do get that charge off as well to Mole, though. So decent amount, actually. 3 turret plates for them as well. So there you go. He's getting the resources in his pockets on the LeBlanc. Are you happy, Lyric? Does this satisfy you?
Hasn't really been hitting the chains, but you
That's
know,
just
for
rust.
Like
That's
me,
just rust. That's fine.
No. For someone like me, I like to think that it's on purpose to give the enemy a false sense of security, and then bam, the Hecarim comes in and you are just dead. So
yeah. That makes sense. Makes sense.
It's been working out so far. AL gonna look to take themselves a dragon though. ZDZ, you might need to be careful. Zika's level 10 right now.
Forcing this red buff feels bad for Xiaohao as the Infernal Rift comes online. A little bit more priority in that direction as well. In 5 minutes, the next dragon does spawn. But until then, we did get just the re-farming of the jungle for both of these guys. No early big committals, at least, though 5v5s around the Rift Heralds. And that returns to the point of the next iteration of fighting we get is going to be in these side lanes, moving away from the mid lane as we see Mole and Shun on their way up to ZDZ.
And at the very least, they'll be able to deny ZDZ some experience and get some gold onto Zika.
Zika getting a couple tower shots to the back. Not too bad. Everybody else backs off from IG. ZDZ backs off of his tower a little bit. And it will just return to normalcy, at least at this point. And that's where I do want to check in, right? We're getting the item completions. We have Trinity Force for Betty. We have the Eclipse there for Wink with that lethality build you were talking about earlier. And this is where, you know, you can have a little bit more confidence when you're bringing the 80s into these plays, and especially when you're seeing the aggression from IG in the bot lane.
Yeah, IG's bot lane has kept it up, despite the fact that they were the ones kind of falling short in some of the earlier trades that we were seeing. Now I want to see where Wink goes with this build. Typically after Eclipse is when you see things like, oh, maybe I need to calm down, Mazel, or maybe I need to not calm down. What's the opposite of calming down? I need to calm up.
Calm up, yes. Quote lyric on that one. The opposite of calming down is calming up.
I don't know words. I've been here for years, and I still don't know how I talked my way into doing this job. But, yeah, point is, right, things we could see after the Eclipse are things like the Essence Reaver come out of the Collector is what you typically see in solo queue. But I remember, I think it was Jackie Love still went full like mobile crit build after that.
They've been on the wards this whole time. AL just moving. Now we're getting that 5v5. I wanted at least a 4v5 at this point. The lightning does crash, and Betty is doing some serious damage. Chocho already out of there. Onslaught of Shadows is out. This is everybody from IG trying to run away, and they just can't. They are dying under tower to AL, and they had you in the first half, didn't they, Lyric?
And I mean, it looked like for AL, they had a much better position on the fight. All members being able to make their way down. ZDZ having a massive impact. It's going to lead to AL being able to take this turret bot side. And thinking about it, AL are also the team sitting on 2 Drakes right now. So AL, bit of a commanding position. We're going to see here both members of IG sitting on wards the whole time. So AL knew exactly what they were getting themselves into. Chocho doing a nice job of hitting multiple people with that haymaker. He brings Shun away from the fray. It instantly flashes out. Then I feel like ZDZ being the big difference maker in this fight gets in there with the ultimate. Huge Q onto 4 members. And then both Xiaohao and Betty able to follow up to finish off some of these kills.
And for me, for anyone's legend, a crucial piece is them having the single target CC, right? Especially the charms coming out from the Ahri. Xiaohao able to find some engages in the right. But it's the immediate turn and burn that I need to see when they catch that. And that was a perfect example of them executing on that. Every single target, they would take one at a time, stun them down, kill them, go on to the next. I think that's something so crucial to keep an eye on for AL as they move into the fights, right? IG's impression of these fights is to try to get around that, try to get the flanks going, get the single target focus, get the Hextech ultimatum onto Betty, onto Forge, keep them locked down and get the damage down. So in terms of, focuses, it's a lot of the same, turn and burn onto a single target, but it all comes down to execution.
I also do feel like AL just have more AoE options available. Like, sure, as IG, right, you have Distortion, like pretty much all of Shun's kit, but for AL, I mean ZDZ, popping Dominus, getting middle of the fray, Chocho, right, his Showstopper into a Haymaker hitting multiple members, Forge throwing out a Q. There's just so many different ways, I think, where AL benefit in those types of fights as compared to IG. So now we're going to see, with first side lane turret going down, us defaulting to the 1-3-1, where if IG can keep gold about even, they should be in a pretty fine spot to try and take some fights later on. But heck, AL already posturing to take this next dragon. They'll already be at soul point.
They will.
It's only about to be 18 minutes.
Might be capturing all the Rift Heralds, but the dragons are definitely in the eyes of anyone's legend. We'll see if Kun wants to utilize this Rift Herald as a bit of a distraction in terms of this dragon taking, but AL know what they want. They know what they came for. Dragon is spawning now, and they find themselves in front of the pit.
And we're going to see 4IG kind of all coming in from the same way, so not taking advantage of those potential flanks that we were just hitting on, right? Looks like Mole maybe wrap around from the bot side. I think that'd be a good call, right? Putting some pressure over the wall.
Good Forge, look at Mole. Mole getting a bunch of damage to Shao, but the dragon is secured by anyone's legend. What about the fight, though? IG are looking very scary here as the showstopper goes through. Betty is still in touch, but he can't do anything, but there's still 5 members of IG strong. Double kill for Wink, and that is a big turnaround, even though they lose the dragon.
The sad thing for IG is the fact that there's no Baron up. Nothing really you can easily translate this into. You can go get damage on top lane tier 1 turret. Maybe you could take that. You see Camille pushing down in bot side right now, but that could have been a game-changing moment. They did get themselves some gold back, which feels pretty good. They should have some pretty nice resets after this. But, I mean, heck, AL being on soul point, I feel like is the bigger takeaway from that fight, right? Even if it comes down to a flip, as long as Xiaohao smites correctly, I mean, that is a game-changing objective for the side of AL, especially where I feel like damage is pretty nicely distributed on both sides. We're going to see here, I feel like Mole and Shun doing such a good job to start this fight off, getting onto Xiaohao, instantly bursting him out of the fight. We see Lucas's ultimate able to bring down Forge as well, and then it leaves the members of AL into this 5v3, and instantly turning into a 4-kill spread for the side of IG. So again, Massive props to Shun and Mole to start that one off. I feel
Yeah.
like Lucas as well having a pretty solid fight.
I will say, though.
And now for IG, you finish, Mazel.
Yeah, I will say, Betty was missing a lot of those cues in that fight. The damage obviously isn't there for this area just yet. Still waiting on a lot of the stacking. I want to see Betty pick those up a little bit more because there was a lot of damage left on the table. And I think that is the difference maker in these fights, right? They don't have a lot of tankiness on the side of IG. And if you can catch out the crucial members, that's important. Speaking of crucial members, your boy Mole is about to get duped by anyone's legend if he falls for it. They are waiting for so long.
He's gonna fall for it,
but
Mazel. He's gonna fall
look
for
at the
it.
rest
He's
of
gonna fall for
IG.
it.
They're up here too. So AL see that everybody's missing for IG and they back away from the play.
We're going to see here is, okay, they actually do back away from the play in the end. And for IG now, we're starting to see take place of, Zika putting up this pressure down in the bottom side. CDZ playing a little bit respectively, playing far back. And now the other members of IG able to hover around Mole, enables LeBlanc to get the side lane pressure, start taking some of these turrets. And I mean, this is some pretty good momentum for IG going forward. I want to go back to your point about Betty missing, a lot of his abilities, though, because I don't feel like it's just Betty. I feel like today is a day of missed skill shots. Like we've seen a ton. Again, Mole's not really been hitting any change. You're highlighting Betty. We saw in the last series abilities missing left, right, and center coming out from both Weibo and LGD. There's really no takeaway from that point. Actually, we're just kind of saying, hey, people are playing bad today.
It's a peculiar day in the LPL. We had a game where we went 20 minutes without a single kill. Come on, don't tell me that's not peculiar. But here we are into this series where we did not have that steadiness. We have had chaos in our first 21.5 minutes, and we have had AL stacking up these dragons, but losing in overall gold to IG about 3,000 or more, about 4,000 at this point.
Ultimately, though, again, anyone's Legend's fate pretty much can be sealed. Well, I guess IG's fate would be sealed if AL gets the Soul in 1 minute and 37 seconds on the dot. IG keeping up the pressure, looking for these aggressive picks.
Xiaohao in some trouble here, though. Mole takes about half his health. The onslaught of shadows as well onto the back. Does Xiaohao die? Showstopper for Chocho, and Xiaohao is out of the fight. Base breaker is not going to be enough to get Chocho out of there, and Betty just has to watch you now get X-Tech ultimatum, and this is the kind of combo you wanted, but Zika way overextended under tower, and now AL can push back. Betty didn't even die, and that is a really big throw from IG in that moment. Xiaohao now getting the resets. Betty on fire at this point. They are getting kills left and right. And how did we get here, Lyric? How?
We got here because Zika, for some reasons, like, yo, boys, let's dive mid-lane turret. Instantly dies, gives over a ton of kills to the side of IG. They should have just left him out there. They should have just left him to die. As now AL get a Baron, and not every re-debut of the year goes according to plan. We're gonna see how this one starts off, right? IG aggressively pushing for vision in bottom side, as they do a push in bot with the Camille, and again, Dragon's coming up soon. Shane down onto Xiaohao, a good amount of damage coming off onto him. The Ignite slowly ticking away, but the best thing here is Chocho goes for the engage to try to help his jungler get away. They end up picking him off, but then Zika seeing an angle to get onto Betty. But you see Wink not able to follow up, Mole also not close enough to follow up. It opens up for the turnaround from AL, and then a lot of members of IG already chunked cooldowns, now having to be waited for. AL able to pick up a bunch of kills.
And you saw
the rookie top laner of IG, too overzealous, Mazel.
You saw IG were not ready for that. 3 of the members were walking away from the fight when that happened. Even Wink had to flash forward to try to get into it. Now AL see that IG took the dragon. They don't care. They're working on a tier 2 in mid lane with the Baron buff, but they have found themselves in a very sticky situation. Betty tries to get away from the backside. Shun is on the flank here. Can IG make something happen here? The confidence not there, though.
Both AD carries have no flash. Both are vulnerable to an engage. Both teams have ways to getting onto the backline easily. Chocho's looking for it.
We're in such a weird position. Lucas just flashes over the wall. What is happening? AL just somehow find themselves in a 5v5 fight. The resets are not coming out for Xiaohao this time.
Okay.
We come away with a 1-for-1. Both supports die somehow.
When a play is that crazy, like, you gotta give props. Lucas, no idea what you were doing. You were trying to cement yourself to the back line. I assume, right, get over the wall. He's right in the middle of the team. Throw out the ultimate onto Betty and just be able to burst him out. Or Forge at this point because of how big Forge is. But, it didn't exactly go like that. Still a 1-for-1.
Look at this again. It's like IG were on the wrong side of the map. They realized they're surrounded by AL, and then this happens.
Yeah, we saw the Nautilus ult Betty, but Betty was actually nowhere near the rest of the team, so no follow-up able to be put onto him. And yeah, that was a really creative way to engage.
There you go. Look at that positivity, Lyric. I'm rubbing off on you just yet. I love it. You got some good positivity there. But AL looking pretty positive that they want to take this top side of the map because they walk in, Xiaohao steals the Gromp, and now they take top lane.
Yeah, AL going to go for this. Also, another Horizon focus coming out onto Forge. And I'll shout out, you know, who did the math. Molecule Lol, I think that's his Twitter, did the math on the items and pretty much said anytime you have Source Boots, it is better to go Shadow Flame. One of the things I just like more about that item in comparison to Horizon Focus is just the fact that I feel like you'd be getting off a lot more damage throughout an extended fight. Just, you know, kind of throwing out Qs, whittling down numerous members with that build, but still gonna opt for this. Also does have a stopwatch picked up, so the next time a team fight does break out, Forge at least gonna have a way to buy time for more of his cooldowns to come back up and potentially start finding these picks.
The picks are cool here as we're at 2.5, 3 items coming online for a lot of the major members here, at least in terms of scaling aspects. The ADC is going to be coming alive at that 3 item spot, especially Betty is going to feel much, much better once you can hit that 3 item spike. But it's still, you know, looking like a late game situation here for both these teams as we get to watch Chocho moonwalk around the map somehow. Thank you, observers, by the way. Very much appreciate that. Don't know what's going on with that.
Chocho has always had my respect, and just another reason for him to have the respect for out there. But look at the minimap. ZDZ's getting picked off.
Yeah, walk away from that one. ZDZ maybe not being able to walk away from this one, though. X-Deck Ultimatum, CC down, and Zika gets the kill.
I mean, ultimately, it's a nice bit of gold injection for the side of IG, and they also do burn Flash, which will ultimately be worth it come the next Dragon fight. But IG not going to really be able to translate this into an objective. They will be able to take away the enemy jungle, which, you know, jungle camps is gold. That is, like, presence on the map, be able to put down wards. So it is a bit of an objective coming out for the side of IG. But obviously something like Dragon was up at the time. That would have been way more impactful, being able to deny AL from Soul Point.
Walking normally again.
I guess not Soul Point. I guess it's Soul.
Yeah, it is Soul for AL. Chocho checking in on him. He's walking normally again. We're all good on that app. But it is about a minute until that dragon spawns in. This is, I want to reiterate, this is a fight that IG need to take, right? Like, you don't give over an Infernal Soul in these situations. You can say your if, ands, buts about it, about different souls, but the Infernal Soul will seemingly always be king. And in these kinds of situations, it is that little bit extra that can push AL over the edge.
Yeah, for AL, I think at this fight, I'm going to be looking at ZDZ. I'm going to be looking at Chocho, right? Their ability to keep Shun and Mole off of Betty and Forge, I feel like will be crucial. If Chocho can get a massive ultimate onto Shun away from his carries, then we saw what Betty was able to do in that last team fight earlier when Zika overextended.
All 5 members from AL walking together. The turtle shell online. Chocho almost takes half his health from just the couple bits of damage from Mole. We got a flank coming through from IG again. This has been the name of the game for them. Just get weird angles and try to engage on AL. I feel like it's worked out to some extent so far. Shun wants to go for that engage, has the devastating charge, but gets caught out. Now they jump onto ZDZ. The lightning crash from Betty is huge. We've got a split fight. Should buy so much time, but it doesn't matter because you've got Forge and Betty still firing away. Zika burning down to death. Betty gets grabbed by the dredge line, but that baits the rest of IG in. Now Betty is still firing away, gets another kill, and that is another team fight win for anyone's legend.
Yeah, them able to pick off the Hecarim extremely early on, so nice for their side. They're able to buy a lot of time in the other fight as well, coming out with these Zanyas from Forge, as well as Chocho again buying that space. And now Infernal Soul for the side of anyone's legend. This could be a very easy Baron for them. And then, I mean, now, right, they should be favored in almost every team fight going forward. We're going to see this one started. Shun wanting to find a flank onto the back line. Not even spotted out by Ward, just by the members of AL sitting in that brush. They're able to take him out quite early on, despite a bit of time by going golden. But here, right, I feel like Chocho buying so much more time in this fight. Yeah. Zika once again going in so deep and then left to die by the other members of the team. And then when Xiao gets back into the fray, able to use that ultimate to get on top of Link's Draven.
And yeah, that hook from Lucas actually baits Wink to step forward to try to get the kill, and then he just seals the deal for the entirety of IG. So unfortunate for them, but very fortunate for AL. As we saw coming out of the replay, AL were trying to force the Baron. We're not able to do so. Now IG are here to force a fight. Zika not taking the hook shot this time, but gets charmed and dies anyways. Hextech Ultimatum saves him, though. He's not dead. Onslaught of shouts to the backline from Chun, but look at the damage, the front to back. It could be there. Betty is crashing all around us. The AoE. Betty on the side. Oh my goodness. There's no way. The double kill comes through for Wink, but in the end, it's an ace for anyone's legend off the back of seemingly nothing.
Yeah, I mean, for IG, right, they were trying to take advantage of a window where they knew AL would want to look to reset. They had taken a little bit of damage from the Baron and thinking that was their only window. A bit of desperation, but I can kind of understand desperation in this scenario where you're already losing each fight and the enemy team has soul. But that also cements it for AL to just be able to easily take this Baron, have an even larger gold lead, and have an easier time closing out this game.
And there were a couple moments there where you could see IG, a couple right decisions, a couple right targets. They could have taken that fight. The damage from Wink and Mole was huge, but the catch out here, Zika, that just can't happen.
I mean, I was going to say, it's not really a catch. It's more like Zika serving himself up on a silver platter to the enemy team. And like you said, Betty and Forge able to dish up so much in that fight. And we even just talked about like things like the AoE being able to come from the side earlier on. Then you just added in the fact that, yeah, they are sitting on an Infernal Soul. This makes it so much worse for the side of Invictus Gaming. Now for IG, you are praying someone on AL makes a tragic mistake, runs it down. You require like no summoners or cooldowns invested to find that kill, and then maybe hopefully you can take the 5v4.
Can I just take a moment to appreciate the dual carries for anyone's legend? Forge and Betty have found, like, even if anyone's legend season hasn't been everything they'd have hoped for, right, and they're still fighting and trying to run through, the entire team has been so good. Like, in bits and pieces.
Exciting.
That's
maybe.
what okay, a good, exciting, same thing to me as a play-by-play, but it's... The fact is, there are moments of brightness for this team, and Betty in particular has been a shining star for them as well.
Yeah, this is probably the best split Betty's had in the LPL. I think very easy to say. And again, I think Xiaohao has been stepping up once again massively after the first, let's say, like week or two of this split.
Yeah.
So nice to see Xiaohao back in that form where what made him so impressive last year, right? Xiao, I think, was one of the most exciting players to come into the LPL last year. Able to keep it up now. For IG, they're just doing everything they can. The only real poke they have, though, is from Mole, so not really having too much they can chain up with that one. Zika, though, can still try to be this massive threat in the side lane. Does have Hull Breaker, but at this point, right, for AL, they can just keep grouping. And heck, 2 minutes, it's Elder Dragon.
Yeah.
There's no way for Zika really to opt out of that fight.
Rabadon's also just got picked up by Forge, so he's on 4 items completed for Betty. You got now 3 items completed for ZDZ, who got the Guardian Angel third, which is going to be a huge difference maker when you throw his body into the fight and just get to survive for so long. And it just gets that much harder to see how IG can win a fight without finding one of those crucial picks, without catching AL sleeping a little bit.
Especially not now that since they're behind, we see like defensive items having to come out, right? Banshee's Veil just picked up by Mole. We see Chain Vests being sat on by Zika as well, so at this point, it kind of feels like your only hope is to try and blow someone up, but, excuse me, I don't know if IG have the damage to even do that. And by I don't know, I'm almost positive they do not.
The IE was completed by Wink, so a little bit of damage in that department, but the side lane pressure is still there from AL. About 2 seconds on the Baron, not going to be enough to get the purple minions. Oh, actually, they did. Wow, 2 seconds is all it took to take down that tower.
Yeah, 2 seconds sounds like all it will take to take down the whole of the IG roster at this point. See, we came in today saying we'll be biased, and now the bias is flipped in the opposite direction.
You've completely forgotten about Molly. I'm just saying. I expected an extremely biased cast lyric, and I'm not getting that. All right? There's too much positivity from you.
Wait for the Zoe game.
Okay, gotcha.
That's when the bias will come out in full force, and he'll be able to, maybe carry some of these teammates. We see pings coming out for the Dragon right now. Full map vision was shown by the Observer for a second.
I don't know if IG can even. I mean, obviously you can't. Just like the Infernal Soul, you can't just give up an Elder Dragon. That's just a game-winning objective there. But
I mean, at this point, right, you're just hoping for the best,
yeah.
right? The game is pretty much already lost, and you're hoping for some sort of mistake to come out from the members of AL.
Jun's smite key
Try
needs
and
to be
find
on
your way.
point.
The problem is, like, there's just so many key targets, and you look at Forge has Azanias and a stopwatch. Xiaohao sitting on the stopwatch as well. GA's across the board. You have to take down pretty much every member of AL twice.
IG are the ones that are forced into the fight first. Mole on the side, but he will get spotted out by that ward placed there from AL. Spots it out himself. See what AL decide to do. The Dragon quarter health here. Mole still on the side. Zika waiting his time to get into the fight itself as the Dragon does reset. Mole getting a little bit cheeky on the back there, but can be trigger pulled onto by AL at any moment. Banshee's Veil already popped. Forge has the distance. Nice move from Mole, though. This moves right now from IG. They can't get Forge the double stopwatch or no Forge. He's still the focus. They finally get him. The health bars from IG are actually pretty strong. ZDZ goes down to the GA though. Zika now onto Betty. Betty goes down to the GA himself. GA's popping everywhere, but can it be the difference? Zika is going down next. Mole. IG, what happened? You were so close. You were so high and up towards the sun, but the sun burns and IG lose another fight.
I mean, we saw the difference maker there, right? It was everything we pointed out before the fight. The fact that you had to kill the members of AL twice. If it wasn't for, right, the stopwatches, the GAs, maybe it was a fight IG could have won. I think that was much more favorable than I expected the fight to go, in favor of IG actually picking up 2 kills. But at the end of the day, the lead for AL is just too large. You did pop both Zanyas. You did take away the Zanyas and the stopwatch coming out from Forge. But now, with Elder going to be coming out for anyone's legend, right? I don't feel like you'll be able to replicate that same fight twice.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult. And now with the obvious Elder Dragon, it gets even that much more difficult. And the fact that Betty is still 6-0 and 14 in this series, or in this matchup so far, and
wait, Mazel. It's my one time to praise Mole. This nice play coming out from Mole, outplays Forge. Forge surprisingly does not go down though, but again did have to use that initial Zanya's.
Yeah.
I guess he didn't use stopwatch. I guess he just sold it after the spike. But Betty,
no,
like
it was
you're saying,
broken. So it was the stopwatch was broken and the Zanyas were used. That's why I was curious at the moment because it was a double stopwatch. It just seemed really short.
Yeah, and then we're gonna see in the rest of the fight, right? Zika finds his way onto Betty, but Betty had already been left untouched so long, getting all that damage down. And just a difference maker that both those GAs made, that the stopwatches and the Zanyas made for the side of AL, especially when IG's comp is decently, like, cooldown reliant. Like, you're very rotation based with your damage, especially coming out from people like Mole, like Shun, who are gonna get in there, do their one combo, and get out. So I feel like a ton of value gained from that. Elder, Baron, Mazel, IG are done for. AL done it. The Panda Samurais have come in and they've slayed some hopes and dreams, at least in Game 1.
The purple carpet with the dragons all around, definitely leading them to victory here as they take down the mid inhib. They can stick around here as having TP from ZDZ can't change things around a little bit, but IG maybe playing a little bit zealous here, trying to make something happen with Mole. But again, if you can't pick anybody out, if you can't get the lockdown with the damage followed up, there's really no way into these fights. Should still just desperately wanting to find something. Here comes the TP now. Xiaohao decides to engage onto Mole, who almost just dies to the Elder Dragon buff. And guess what? The wings are flapping and IG is lapping. That's it for game number 1. AL clean house. And you hear the roar as they take game number 1 of this best of 3.
Yeah, great performance coming out from anyone's legend. Early game, they found some nice moves, especially in regards to the bottom lane, where they were able to find some picks into that 2v2. Even Forge, I think, had a solid early game, right? Had that one time where he tried to go for the solo kill.